the training part of our call. So this is going to be recorded. We're going to be covering the updates on the Transamerica final expense product. So if you are if you're watching this on a replay, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you need more information, just give me a call. My cell phone number is right there at 630-890-8609. Transamerica, January the 7th, I want to say, they updated their final expense product. Guys, it is very, very similar to the old product. A little bit has changed, okay? My job is to go through and kind of make it easier for you, if you will. I'm still learning about all the little changes. I've been using Transamerica since 2009. So over 10 years, I've been using Transamerica as one of my major providers. Have always been a big fan of their final expense product. I'm still a big fan of their final expense products. I've already written 2 cases utilizing the new updated platform and doing the e-application. So I think you're really gonna like it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. And during this training, if you do have questions, raise your hand. I'll unmute you, and I'll try to answer your call or try to answer your question if I know it. If I don't, I'll look it up and I'll get you the answer that you're looking for. Okay. All right, moving on. So Transamerica really kept the product the same. They have the immediate solution, and the immediate solution is anybody who's going to qualify for their level or standard. Okay. Then they also have a graded product as well. Let me get my highlighter here, and we'll highlight a couple things. Let's see here. We'll go through this. All right, we got it. All right, so issue ages have stayed the same. Issue ages are from 0 to 85. One of the differences is that they now have, they used to have 2 different applications. They had a 0 to 44, then a 45 to 85. Now it's basically just one application. Similar underwriting. What you will notice is that and we'll go through it, some of the wording of their questions. They'll ask like a heart attack, stroke. They'll ask, have you ever been diagnosed with a heart attack or stroke before the age of 45? Okay, so they put it on one application, but it's not technically really the same underwriting. If you have a client that just needs just a little bit of coverage, Transamerica is still king when it comes to the minimum amount of issued premium, which is $1,000. Have I ever written a case for $1,000? I don't think so, but I've written plenty of cases for $2,500 and $3,000, and where a lot of carriers have gone from $2,000, they've raised their minimum to $5,000. Transamerica has kept their that threshold at $1,000. And I tell you where it comes in handy is I've written many cases on people that in good health. They were in their 80s, and they just needed a little bit of cushion. You know what I mean? Like they had $7,000 or they had $10,000, but they really needed, man, if I could just get $2,000 more or $3,000 more. And I'm telling you, on someone who's like 80, 83, 84 years old, a $3,000 policy, it's like $45 a month. So it's not a bad little premium. And you're getting paid full comp on it as well. They don't cut your commission for being over the age of 80. So that's when you would write those really small cases on your older folks. I'm not sure if this changed, but we'll go over it. This is the maximum. I believe this looks like it stayed the same. So if your clients are between the ages of 0 and 55, you can take them up to $50,000 of coverage. If they're between the ages of 56 and 65, you can take them up to 40, which matches Mutual of Omaha. If they're over 65, if they're 66 to 75, the maximum amount is 30. And if they're 76 to 85, the maximum amount is 25. So if you have that client who's older, if you have a client that's 79 years old and is looking for 35 or 40,000, Mutual of Omaha, if they qualify, Mutual of Omaha may be the best carrier to look at. Me personally, I just haven't written that many cases for over 30 grand when they're when they're 75 years or older, because you're talking about premiums almost $300 a month. So it's a little bit on the higher range. Benefit period, the product matures at age 121. What does that mean? That means that they have to keep paying premiums and basically until they die. At age 121, that means the cash value is going to equal the death benefit. The one slide I didn't put up is the 10 pay. They also, Transamerica also offers a 10 pay solutions, which is basically the same as the immediate. It's only available for preferred and standard. The difference is that they only have to pay on it for 10 years and it's paid up. Now it is not a participating whole life, so it doesn't keep growing. Once they paid in their 10 years, and let's say it's a $10,000 face amount, that's the most it's ever going to be worth, is 10 grand. There is a loan provision. They can take loans against it. There are additional riders that are absolutely free. Guys, I'm not going to go into like real deep on the riders. Just remember is that in some cases they are state specific. So if you live in Florida, if you live in California, make sure you get the application that's specific to your state. Print the application out, the paper app, and all the proper disclosures will be on there for your state. Because you see here, they talk about they have an accelerated death benefit rider. This is talking about for Florida only. And then they have the accelerated death benefit rider with nursing home benefit. Make sure that's available in your state. You can see right here it's not available in New York, which we don't. Senior Solutions, we're not licensed in New York anyway. And then they have another terminal illness, accidental death, not accidental, accelerated death benefit for California only, in which we do have California agents. So just make sure that you're aware of the benefits in your state. There is also an accidental death benefit, which doubles the death benefit if they were to die in an accident. Now this stayed, I think it pretty much stayed the same. They have to be between the ages of 18 and 70 in order to get that rider, and the death must occur within 90 days from the accident. So what does that mean? That means if you're in a car accident and you're in a coma for 6 months, and then you pass away 6 months later, it's not going to pay double. You would need to have died from those injuries within 90 days, 3 months of when that accident occurred. If it's after that, then they're going to rule that as natural causes, not the accident. There's also a children's and grandchildren benefit rider. I add this to a lot of my cases. It's very, very inexpensive. It's only annual premium is only $2 a year per unit, which is like 16 cents. Easy way to think about it is I always do the maximum. I always do the 5,000 amount, and 5,000 is basically, I think it's 85 cents. So for 85 cents per grandchild, they can have their children or grandchildren covered on their policies. Now the grandchildren have to be between the ages of 0 or 15 days. They got to be at least 15 days old, no older than 17. Now they could be 17 and 364 days. As long as they haven't had their 18th birthday, it's okay. And there's no backdating. You like if they have a grandchild who just turned 18 2 weeks ago, you can't backdate the contract to cover the grandchild, okay? Now, the grandchildren's policies, they are convertible. Well, let me mention this. The rider terminates at age 25. So if you're putting, let's say they're putting a grandchild on there who's 10, that grandchild can stay on the can have the coverage until they're 25. At 25, it terminates. Between the ages of 18 and 25, I believe that's when they can convert it into their own policy with no proof of insurability. The only catch is that the policy needs to be active for at least 2 years. So here's an example. Grandchild, 17 years old. Next year, 12 months later, they turn 18. They're not eligible to convert it into their own policy until the grandparent has had the policy in force for 2 years. So they have to wait till they're 19. Then they could convert it, if that makes sense. Okay. So it looks like no questions yet. So we're going to move on. Easy Solutions, guys. Easy Solutions is the graded death benefit. It's a very similar parameters to like some of our guaranteed issue. It does not pay out the full death benefit until the policy has been enforced for 2 years. If they die of natural causes within the first 2 years, that's the standard. It's like most companies, it's 110% sum of the premiums. Okay, so they'll just take whatever you paid into the policy times 110%. That's going to be the payout. The thing, I don't write a lot of the Transamerica graded because it is kind of expensive, but I will tell you this, man. They will, if you have a client that is, let's say they have really bad COPD to the part where they're on oxygen, you can cover somebody under Transamerica graded with oxygen. If they have kidney failure and they're on dialysis, you can get, kidney dialysis covered under their graded. So, I've written a handful of these, not a lot, but a handful of the Transamerica graded product. Usually when it's on a smaller face amount, they're looking for like $5,000, 5 to 7,000. It's kind of a niche there, but anyway, just you need to be aware that they do have a easy solution, which is their graded product. Okay. Moving on. This is just a slide here that talks about the accelerated death benefit. Guys, they can accelerate up to 100% of the face amount. That's kind of unique with Transamerica. A lot of companies don't allow you to accelerate up to 100% for terminal illness. Terminal illness means that life expectancy is less than 12 months. Okay, and they can get it up to 100%. Basically, the only deductions would be any interest or any premiums due. So, as an example, and they go by your policy year. I don't think clients are really going to ask this, but just so you know how it works, if I have a $10,000 face amount as an example, and let's say my premiums are, I'm paying $100 a month. That's what my cost is for the premium, and I'm diagnosed with a terminal illness. They're going to take a look at my anniversary date. In other words, when did I take my policy out? And they're going to subtract any payments due. So let's say I took my policy out in March as an example. So let's say I haven't made my December payment yet. I got December, January, February, and March is due. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 months. They'll take 4 months of premium. That's $100. I mean, $100 a month. That's $400. They would subtract that from the 10,000, and then that would be the accelerated death benefit. That's basically how that works. Or if they took out a loan, they would subtract out the loan or any administration fees. Here's what I can tell you. I haven't really had a lot of clients ask me exactly like the mechanics of how it works, but it is important for you to kind of at least be able to explain how that works. And it's nice being able to offer the living benefits, the accelerated death benefit. It's a huge, I think it's a huge selling point. Not every final expense product has that. Now, for agents that have not logged in, have not signed up for the new Transamerica website, in order to use this new product, in order to print the paper applications, in order to utilize the e-application, you got to get signed up for the new website. If you need the flyer sent to you, I can send it to you. But basically, just go to transamerica.com and go in as a new agent and get signed up, get your new credentials. Agent Net Info is still working. You can still do things on Agent Net Info, but you can't submit an application on Agent Net Info. You got to submit it through the new portal. Okay, so please make sure you get signed up for the new portal. If you need help, there's a phone number. I can point you in the right direction. But probably the best thing to do if you need like IT help, if you're having trouble getting logged in, is call Transamerica directly. They have a team, technical support. In fact, the information's right down here. Website technical support. And there's the phone number. Okay. All right. So assuming everyone is signed up for the new website, how do you log in? Well, this is what it looks like. This is what the Transamerica homepage is going to look like. Put a nice little arrow here. You just click on the login. Once you click on the login, you are going in as a financial professional. So click right there. Then you're going to click again on Agent Advisor Experience, and you just click Next. This is where you're going to put in your, this is a screenshot of me actually logging in. So I just blocked out my username and password. But this is where you would log in. And see, it's welcome me here. Welcome, Joseph. Welcome back. This is where it's going to give you a snapshot of how many policies, pending policies, approved. It's showing all zeros here. This is not updated yet. They were saying that new business is probably not going to show up until Friday. Okay, so there's still, this is still a work in progress, as they would say. Now, where do you want to go to quote or do an e-application? The same place. See this big red arrow where it says Sales Tools? That's where you want to click. Then you can either go, if you want to go ahead and start an application, you would click on Electronic Applications. If you want to do illustrations, this is where you would actually go to run a quote. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. This website, this is mobile friendly. Okay, I've got it on my cell phone. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you, it's not as quick and easy as the old Transamerica mobile app. I'm sure if enough of us bitch and complain, they will give us back the mobile quoting tool. But until then, this is how you got to do it. But it works. I'm just telling you, it works. You got to click a few more buttons, but it works really good on a cell phone. It is extremely mobile friendly. What you want to do is once you on your phone, let me just give you this tip. When you go to your phone, just go to your web browser, go to your Safari, if it's iPhone. I use Android. So basically, I just went to Google Chrome, type in transamerica.com, put in my login. It asked me if I wanted to save my password. If it asked me if I wanted to have my device remember this website, I answered yes to it. So now when I created a little icon. So now when I click on it, it doesn't ask me for my password. It automatically logs me in. It's pretty quick. So I'm going to show you how to run an illustration, how to do it. I'm assuming you're doing this from your phone or your computer. So I'm all logged in. I'm going to go to Transware. I'm going to click on Final Expense. You can also quote the other products. You're going to see the Trendsetter, the IUL product is there, the FF IUL. So we're going to select product. We're going to select the Final Expense product. And then this is the next window that's going to open up. I'm going to select my product, which I'm going to select immediate solutions because my client is qualified for preferred. The other choices would be like 10 pay or easy solutions. I'm not going to take the time. I'm not going to put in my client's name and all this stuff. I'm simply just going to put in their age because all I want to do right now, I just want to give a quick quote. Okay. So age 70, state of Florida, male. This client qualifies for preferred. I'm going to select, I'm going to solve for. In this case, I'm going to solve for face. I put in the, I think that may be the maximum amount. It's either 30 or 35, but 30,000. I want to do it on monthly EFT. And I'm also, you need to select, do you want the accidental death benefit rider? Yes, I'm doing the standard accidental death benefit rider. Next, you see right over here, there's an arrow right here where it says reports. On your phone, just click on reports. After you click on reports, it's going to come up, do you want summary or illustration? Just click on the summary button. What that's going to do is going to pop up another window that looks like this, and it's going to say summary quote, and it's going to verify the information. Now, one thing that's a little tricky that kind of threw me off initially is this top box, because it has male, age 70, preferred, face amount, monthly EFT, accidental death benefit rider, $169. Guys, that's not the monthly premium, okay? That's the cost of the rider on an annual basis. Look down here. You could really put yourself in a trick bag if you accidentally quoted that amount. Premiums, it's now giving you the annual premium, semi-annual, quarterly, and monthly. So for in this particular situation, I got a male, age 70, 30,000 preferred non-tobacco. My monthly premium is $233 a month. Okay, that's how you do it. Now, I just did my 3-option worksheet. The client says, yeah, I can do 30,000 or whatever that, whatever you close them on. Now you want to go back and you want to do the application, okay? After you've done the 3-option worksheet. Your choices is that you can either do a paper application or you can do an electronic application. Here's what I can tell you. It appears is that you may be able to do the e-application from your phone. I started one, but it's really tough on a phone just because the screen is so small, and then when the keyboard comes up to type in, it blocks half the screen and you can't see where it's going. But I did enough where I was able to get through about half the application. And I just got to the point where I maybe in a jam, I would go ahead and do it. But ideally, if you're going to do an e-application minimum, I would have a tablet to do it. A tablet, a small laptop would probably be better, just because you can probably type a little bit faster, or like a Microsoft Surface with a keyboard, I think would be good. Now you can still do a paper application, okay? The new paper, make sure you don't use the old paper application. It's outdated. Throw everything away. Everything you had for Transamerica, throw it away. Order new stuff. But what it looks like they did, it looks like Transamerica basically took screenshots of the e-application and put it on paper. And it's really spread out, and there's a lot of drop downs. I'm not a big fan of the application. In fact, it's like, I'm just telling you, it's like 31 pages long, okay? Part of that is just because it's so spread out. So in a jam, if you need to do a paper application with Transamerica, go ahead. My advice is, moving forward, I would recommend doing the e-application. I think it's much easier to do an e-application than a paper application. But okay, so moving forward, we've got our clients closed on the premiums. We've decided because of their health situation, Transamerica is going to be the best fit. This is where you want to go. You want to click on the iGo and the electronic application. You do need a separate login for iGo. If you already have one from a previous carrier, that will work. You don't need multiple logins for different carriers. So just log into iGo. You want to start a new case. What's cool about iGo, it does store all your old cases, so you can start a case and then you can go back in and finish it up. Let's see here. Client's name, I just put in valued client. Make sure you put in their date of birth, age. You guys, you got to fill everything out. Then it's going to ask you the product. So we've selected final expense. Then it's going to say find available products. Click here. It's going to come up. I selected the solutions final expense product. Now I'm just going to start. Oh no, this is your information. So Joseph Johnson, agent ID, office ID. You can leave blank. You don't need that. You do need to put in a valid email address. I can tell you this. I had to use my Yahoo account because my email with Google has 2 periods in it, which doesn't work. So just FYI, if you've got an email and you have 2 periods in it, it's not going to work. You need to use a different email address for this. Make sure you put in your phone number, agent percentage. This is not your commission level, guys. This is the percentage of the sale. So if you're splitting it with an agent. So if you're writing business with another agent and you're going 50-50, you would put in 50% there, and then you'd have to put in the other agent's information. Okay, now we're putting in all the client's information. Basically the same as what you do on a paper application. Name, date of birth, age. Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes. Social security number. I have this all blocked out, guys, because this is a real case here. Okay. I just screenshotted it. Male, occupation. I just put in retired. Physical address. Make sure you put in the right physical address. Here's just a little tip. They're going to run a address verification, and it's one of those intuitive things where when you start putting in the physical address, it's like Google Maps. It's like automatically going to start searching for that address. So it does need to be a legit address. You can't if you're not sure about their address, you can't make one up. It's got to be the real address. And it cannot be for doing an e-application, cannot be a P.O. box. Has to be a physical address. Then, of course, their state driver's license number. If they don't have a driver's license, you just mark that they don't have one, and then you put in the other form of ID. They got to have some type of ID. Whether it be a passport or a state ID or a driver's license. Phone number, obviously you got to put in, best time to contact. How do they want to be communicated? I just put in mail. Your client has to have an email address, okay? If they don't have an email address, you can use yours, but it needs to be a valid email address, okay? But I did verify that with Transamerica that you definitely have to have an email address. Let's see here. Please okay, now then it's going to go through the validation process. Okay, we're going to mark that. We're going to click next. It's going to validate whether that's a correct address or not. Moving on. Let's see. This looks like, no. I'm sorry. It looked like the same. This is basically the same screen, but you can see here now I got a green check mark. Customers validation was successful. And you see I'm over here on the left, I'm starting to get green check marks. That's what we're looking for, is green check marks all the way down. Let's see here, proposed primary. Okay, this is where you're just continued with their information. And we're answering it, is the proposed going to be the owner, which is yes. And then primary beneficiaries information. I just put in one beneficiary. Initially, when you do this, it's just going to ask you for their name. It's not going to ask for the percentage. That comes later. Later in the process, once your client's risk assessment or risk category has been established, later it's going to ask you for the beneficiary's date of birth and social security number. Date of birth is definitely required. Social security number, if you don't have it, they don't know it, you can just put all ones in there. That's what I did, because I didn't have it. They didn't have it when I was doing this. It won't keep you from doing it. I'm not going to do a contingent beneficiary. I'm going to go ahead and click next. Okay, now we're going to get into the medical history. Guys, could you hold on 1 second? I'm just going to pause the recording. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm going to pause for about 30 seconds. All right, so medical history part 1. So if you're familiar with the old Transamerica paper application, which was a cascading application, the new e-application is done the same way. There's a part 1, there's a part 2, and then there's a part 3. So as you're going through these medical questions, if they answer yes to anything in part 1, they're not going to be eligible. So what I would do is that if you're going to be writing Transamerica, I would get a copy of the paper application and just have the medical questions, because the new paper application, the questions are identical to the way they are on the e-application. They're broken down part 1 and part 2, because ideally, I mean, if there would be no reason to start an e-application if they're going to get knocked out here in the first set of questions. But let's just kind of go through them here real quick. It's asking you, have you ever been diagnosed or treated or tested positive or been given medical advice by a member of the medical profession for any of the following? Okay, so these are knockout questions here. Now this is where the application is a little bit different. Now they're asking prior to age 45. Let me highlight, prior to age 45, have you had heart failure or congestive heart failure? So it's the same application, but now they're putting in this little bit different wording. Of course, they're asking if you're currently hospitalized, bedridden, or living, residing in a nursing home. Not going to be eligible. Have you ever been diagnosed by a member of the medical profession or tested positive for AIDS? Okay, that's the AIDS question. That's in there. Have you ever been have you ever been or received by a medical professional? Okay, this is about bone marrow or like organ transplant. So if they've ever had an organ transplant, they're not going to qualify. Have you ever been diagnosed or treated or tested positive or been given medical advice by a member of the medical profession for any of the following? Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease. There's a big list of lot of questions in this one line right there. So if they've ever been in a diabetic coma ever in their life, not going to be eligible. Amputation other than for an accident or trauma. So, I'm just telling you, like, if they're diabetic, and even if they just had like their pinky toe amputated, that counts as an amputation. It doesn't have to be the whole foot to count as a amputation. Cancer, they're looking for metastatic cancer or returning cancer, multiple cancers, not going to be eligible. Now there's the knockout in the last 2 years they want to know. So in the last 2 years, if you've been treated for cancer, you're not going to be eligible. So what that's telling you is that, and we'll get into it later, if they've had cancer treatment, but it's been longer than 2 years, they would probably be eligible for graded. Okay. Let's see. Again, now we're going back the last 2 years. Had tested by a medical professional, which results have not been received. Okay, this is just asking basically, if they're waiting on a diagnosis for something, or their doctor thinks that they have cancer, but they haven't got the results back. You can't go out and apply for insurance. They want to know if you've attempted suicide, or if you've been incarcerated, or on probation, or parole, or convicted, or awaiting of a felony. Not going to be eligible for this. Been convicted or plead no contest to reckless driving or operating while intoxicated. DUI or had more than 3 moving violations in the last 2 years. Not going to be eligible. So Transamerica is now running motor vehicle reports, which they didn't. I don't believe they used to do that, but now they do. So that's one of the changes. So if you got a client who they were drunk and they've gotten DUIs, not going to be this carrier. Got to look at a different carrier. Go Foresters. I don't think they care. Just as an example. Medical history, part 2. Okay, now have you been diagnosed or treated or tested positive or been given medical advice by a member of the medical profession for any of the following? Prior to age 20, have you been tested positive or diagnosed with diabetes, other than gestational diabetes? So I think it used to be 19, now they changed it to 20. Prior to age 26 with Crohn's disease, prior to age 45. So this is, the wording is different. If you've had Parkinson's disease before the age of 45, peripheral vascular disease, heart attack, stroke, any of those, they could get coverage, but it's going to be graded. Okay, just keep in mind these are some of the changes, because before you could have a client, and let's say they're 50 years old, and when you ask about heart attack, stroke, or cancer, they can say, yeah, man, I had a heart attack. I was really young. I was like 40 years old. I had a heart attack, but I'm good now. Well, under the old underwriting platform, it'd be no problem. Now that they're asking about the 45, it is a problem. They would only be considered for graded. Okay. Let's see here. Cirrhosis, heart failure, or congestive heart failure, that's in there. Hepatitis. And what you will find, guys, and I'm not showing it here, but as an example, if you click on hepatitis, like have you ever been diagnosed? This is not a knockout. What will happen, and I'm not showing it here because I didn't answer yes, but as an example, had I answered yes to hepatitis, there would be a drop down, and then there would be another set of questions asking me about the hepatitis C, like have I been treated? Because with Transamerica, if you've had hepatitis but you've been treated and you're cured, then it's either standard or preferred you can get. Okay? So just keep that in mind. These are not necessarily knockouts, but I'm not showing the drop downs. Okay, last 4 years for cancer. So in order to get a preferred rating with Transamerica, you need to have been cancer-free for 4 years. Now they're going to ask, during the last 2 years, have you used illegal drugs, been diagnosed or treated positive, been medical, let's see, for alcohol abuse. So if you got someone that's not clean and sober, and they're going, they've been through alcohol or drug treatment within the last 2 years, gonna have to go graded with with Transamerica. So you may want to look at a different carrier with that. Now we're going 2 years again. Oh, there's a little pop-up here about systemic lupus. If your SLE has been in remission and there has been no treatment for more than 2 years, you may answer no to that question. Okay, so if you have someone that does have lupus and it's in remission, they haven't received treatment in 2 years, you can actually answer no to that question. Okay, moving on. During the last 2 years, have you required assistance for activities of daily living, which is, eating, bathing, toiletries, that sort of thing? Recommended being confined to a nursing home. You'd have to answer no to that. Last 2 years, have you used an electric scooter or electric cart? So, Transamerica's, I haven't called them recently. Last time I called them, I said I was trying to do a risk assessment. My client didn't own their own scooter, but when they went to Walmart, as an example, they used the scooter there. You may want to get clarification on that, but they told me that that was considered use of electric scooter, which I personally think is ridiculous. But anyway, you may want to verify with them exactly what there may be a drop down. As an example, if you answered yes, there may be a like an additional drop down to ask more questions. Let's see. Now we're going during the last year. Have you been diagnosed or treated with or tested positive more than 6 seizures? That used to be 12. Now it's 6. So if you do have someone who has epilepsy and they're taking medication, Transamerica is cool with that, provided they haven't had more than 6 seizures. Let's see. Oh, this is all within the last year. Any liver disease, but not including or limited to, okay. Hepatitis, cirrhosis, hepatitis C should be noted. Prior question. Okay, again, there probably would be a drop down here. Heart attack or stroke or TIA. They're asking within the last year on this one. So again, if you answer yes within the last year, they could still be qualified for graded coverage. Remember I talked about oxygen? If you've used oxygen within the last year, Transamerica has a 1-year look back on oxygen. So if you go to that client and they're using oxygen, or if they've had kidney failure with and they're using dialysis, you could still answer yes to that question, and you could still get them graded with Transamerica. Last question in this section is talking about angina, which is for chest pain. So if sometimes if they've had heart surgery, they may be having some chest pains, which is angina. All right, and then this is the last section of the medical questions. This is part 3. So they could answer one of these questions yes and still get standard. If they answer 2 or more, just like the old application, they're going to go to graded. If they answer more than 2 yes, they're not going to qualify at all. So we're going to ask prior to age 45, been tested, treated, positive, or given medication for, okay, this is for the cancer. Okay, bipolar or schizophrenia. Okay, Transamerica used to be our go-to company if someone was, mentally unstable. They could be on all types of medications. I remember I'd look up medications and I'm like, this medication is used for, what was the word I'm trying to think of? Oh, it was referred to as antipsychotic medication. Transamerica would take it, no problem. Looks like they've tightened up on that a little bit. So your bipolar, your schizophrenia people, if that's really their only issue, and if they're over the age of 45, I think I would go probably Forster's with that one. Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, systemic lupus. Let's see, they now in this question they put in COPD, emphysema. So they can have all these chronic lung disease. As long as they're not on oxygen, you can answer yes and you would still get standard. So Transamerica is still a good go-to company if they are if they have COPD. But now, if they have COPD, along with, you got to be careful if they have, if they are bipolar, if they are schizophrenic, if they're using insulin, that's going to be 2 yeses, which is going to knock them out. Okay, now we're going back the last 4 years. It's going to ask about kidney diseases, stages 1, 2, or 3, or other kidney disorder. Again, if you answer yes to this, there's going to be a drop down. Used illegal drugs, alcoholism, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, including prescription drugs. And again, we're doing the 4-year look back right now. This is also a 4-year look back. Let's see, been convicted or pleaded no contest to reckless driving, intoxication. Okay, this is your driving record. So a lot more strenuous on your driving record than what they used to be. Last 2 years. Last 2 years have been diagnosed, treated, tested positive, been medical advice by a member of medical profession for any of the following. This is your heart attack, stroke, TIA, okay? So this has stayed the same. So if they've had a heart attack or stroke, it was over 2 years ago, you're okay. As far as I can tell, Transamerica is still pretty blood thinner friendly. So they can be on the warfarin, they can be on the Plavix. If it's because of, they had a heart attack 3 years ago, doctor prescribed them Plavix, still going to be okay. Insulin use. This is one where I see agents miss all the time because it's like a question, and it's not. There's no other questions about diabetes in here. So just keep in mind, Transamerica is, in some ways, they're more diabetic friendly than other carriers. You just gotta be careful with the insulin. And what I mean by more diabetic friendly is Transamerica is still okay with your clients that have had neuropathy or kidney or eye problems, where the other carriers consider that to be a a condition or a complication of diabetes. Okay, so even if you've got that client who's insulin dependent and they've got neuropathy real bad, you're still better off going with Transamerica, even though they're going to be standard, because most of your other carriers, if they're taking gabapentin or some other medication for a complication of diabetes, they're going to be graded. Okay, so just all part of doing it, trying to do the best we can as far as field underwriting. The one cool thing about the new Transamerica e-application is that it is in the background. Once you validated you validated your client and you put in all their information, it is going to pull their prescription history, their MIB, and their driving record, and you're not going to get an approval, but you're going to get a risk class. And what I've seen, if it comes up and it says it's preferred or standard, they've been pretty much sticking with that as far as I can see. So the last one here is talking about the last 2 years. Let's see, the last 2 years, have you been diagnosed, tested, or treated positive, or been given medication by a member of the medical profession for any of the following? So here they're asking about the angina, which is the chest pain, cardiomyopathy, any type of vascular circulatory disorder. Let's see here, including anemia other than iron deficiency. So here they're going to go, they're looking for any type of heart surgery that maybe you've had. So there's a really long list of things in here. Pacemaker, defibrillator, irregular heartbeat is in there. So this is very similar to what we used to have with the old, same questions as the old application. So they're not any more lenient as far as those things. So once I get this, I want to click next. And let's see here, primary physician. Okay, I just click no, which is fine. So if they don't have a primary doctor, that's fine. You can click no. You don't have to make something up. Maybe they go to a clinic or they just go to the doctor when they get sick. That's going to be fine. And then they're asking within the last 12 months if they've used any type of nicotine replacement, smoking products, anything that has nicotine in it. Okay. So Transamerica is not the most lenient when it comes to that. E-cigarettes, even nicotine patches, nicotine gum, that's all considered nicotine. So here we want to put in how tall they are, in feet, inches, their current weight. One thing about the weight, Transamerica went from not really caring to how much your clients weigh. They had no weight chart to now having one that's one of the less liberal, I would say. If you compare the Transamerica height and weight chart, they want their clients to on average anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds less than the competition, like Mutual or Foresters. They're also asking if you've gained or lost any weight within the last year. And again, our goal is what we're looking for is all green check marks over here on the left-hand side. It's asking us if we have any existing life insurance. Going to answer no. Will the life insurance applied for discontinue? Okay, we're answering no to all these. We're not replacing any coverage. So now I want to do the HIPAA, the validate and lock. So I got a congratulations, your application is in good order up to this point. And I want to lock the application. This is where it's going to run everything in the background. And this is what you're going to see on your screen. You're going to get the congratulations, your application is in good order. It's going to let you know that you'll be able to, you will not be able to make changes past this point. I'm going to click next. Let's see here, the HIPAA authorization. Going to fill that in. We're going to do it. We're going to select in person. And then let's see, signature not started yet, but we're going to be starting it. Okay, this is where we're going to start the signature. They have to agree to the terms and conditions. You can open that up. You're going to have to open it up and have them review the application. Then you click yes that you've reviewed the application and you click agree. Now you can move on to the signature part. And a little block is going to come up. So if you're using a tablet, they can just sign with the finger. If you're using a like a laptop that doesn't have touchscreen, they can sign with their mouse. Once they do that, then you're just going to click where it says sign here, and then their signature is going to appear. And they got to do that whatever the pages that are applicable on that. Let's see, view copy of signed application, because these are an exact copy of, these are screenshots of a real application. Let's see here, please choose a signature method. We're going to do that in person. Okay, you must have a case. We don't have our case ID. We'll be able to get that in a minute. You want to retrieve the case ID. Here's what I've noticed when you go to retrieve the case ID, because it's running the prescription history and everything in the background. Sometimes it takes a minute. So just be patient on this. You may have to click the retrieve case ID like 2 or 3 times in order for that to come up. Now I'll show you, once you get it, like now I have it. Got the case ID, which I blacked out, so you can't see it. Then I click next. Let's see here. Beneficiary. Now it's asking me to, now this is the screen where it's asking me to go ahead and complete the beneficiary information. I'm putting in the percentage. I'm putting in their date of birth and social as well. Let's see, it's asking me would I like to list an additional person to receive copies. Okay, no, I don't want anybody else to get copies. Okay, now it's going to calculate the premium for me. Now I've already done that, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Let's see, I put it in as immediate solution, $30,000 worth of coverage. Are you backdating to save age? No. I've included the accidental death benefit rider. That's asking me if the policy cannot be issued as applied, would you accept a rated policy if available? I put yes. What that means is that if you think your client's going to be standard, I'm sorry, if you think the client's going to be great, preferred, and they go standard, it's okay. But here's what I can tell you. If your client is already, like, you know they're going to be standard, and they can't go from standard to graded because they'd have to do a different application, I believe, because of the 2-year waiting period. At least that's the way it used to be with the old paper application. I would have to ask specifically on the e-application. Now it's asking adjust face amount to premium. I click yes. All right, what does that mean? So that means if I think my client's going to be preferred, and I'm willing, and the client says, well, if I don't get preferred, I'll take standard. Okay. What that means is adjust face amount to premium. Let's say I quoted my client $100 a month. If they drop a level, if they go from preferred to standard, what that means is that they'll keep the premium the same. So the premium will stay at $100. They'll just reduce the face amount in order to equal the premium. I'm also going to elect the automatic loan provision. So what that means is if my client misses a payment, if they're, if their bank account gets messed up or something and they miss a premium, they'll automatically take the cash value. They'll take the premium out of the cash value so the policy doesn't lapse. I'm selecting monthly premium. I'm doing the electronic funds transfer. Total premium, you know what? I was having a little bit of an issue in this case. It didn't calculate. I went back and calculated it, and I set up my initial draft date on this one for January the 3rd, 2020. You'll see here in a minute, like as an example, you see here over on the left, I got all green check mark, but when it came to plan and premium information, I had to go back and fix it. Here's where you put in the banking information, client's name, this person bank would Chase, routing number, account number, checking account, and then you got to click bank verification, and you got to verify that that's a real bank account, and they will do that. Agent report. This is just where your information goes in. Case manager, guys, this is, you don't need to put anything in here. It's not a mandatory spot. How long have you known the primary insured? Put that. Are you related to the person? Are you financially responsible for them? Let's see, does the proposed insured have existing insurance? No. Will the policy apply, discontinue? No, we're not replacing anything. For replacement, okay, we're not replacing anything, so we'd answer yes to that one. Proposed insured city of signature. If you're in Dallas, Texas, you just put in Dallas, Texas there. Agent city of signature, put in the same thing. Where did you take it? I took this application in Illinois. We're clicking next. And you see here, like like there was a question mark over here for planned information and payment information. I got a notification. I went back and fixed it. So now that's why you see all green check marks over here, okay? Okay, we're not attaching any documents. Okay, we're not adding anything. We're gonna click next. Basically, it's just reading the screens. Now I wanna final validate and lock. So congratulations, your application is complete and I'm in good order. So now I'm ready to collect the rest of my signatures and lock it in. Let's see, lock application and proceed to signature process. Let me move on. Application has been locked. A lot of screens, guys, a lot of screens. Signature method, I selected I was doing this face-to-face, selected in person. Email, one of the questions that has come up is like, Joe, can you sell Transamerica over the phone? The answer is yes, they allow that. I've got it from the, top guy, everybody says you can do it. You just have to do it as an email. So in that case, your client would definitely have to have their own email address that has to be validated. And basically, while you have them over the phone, you would email them those. They would be able to review a copy of the application. They apply their signatures, then it goes back. But absolutely, you can do the new Transamerica over the phone. Let's see here. We're moving on. Okay, I selected here that we're doing it in person. We're gonna start the signature process. Please provide. Okay, I think I'm just showing here that we've completed the signatures. That's what the screen looks like. Then we get a congratulations case ID. Guys, the case ID is going to be the same as the policy number. And then you're going to get, we're all good. It's going to say submit to Transamerica. Thank you for using our electronic application. Okay. And that's the last screen. That's the last screen you're going to get. Now, I'm going to go over, let me see if we have any questions here. Question. Hey, Sam, I see you have a question. Let me see if I can just unmute you. Let's see, you're self-muted. Hey, Sam.
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, it's Cindy. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Hi, Joe.
We're doing wonderful.
Hey, Sam.
Hi. Go ahead, Cindy.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing amazing. We actually did one of those applications that you just went through the whole process.
Oh, well, tell us about it. I know when I did my first one, it was a little, it took longer than I thought it would. But did you got through the process okay?
Yes, we got through the process. And then when we wanted to choose the plan, when they ran their prescription check and everything,
Yeah.
it only offered graded. And I said, what? This lady says she's not taking any medications right now. What's going on?
Yeah.
So I had to switch to a different carrier. Next day, I called Transamerica. I asked them, how can this be? Because the price tripled graded as opposed to the regular preferred. And they said, what I did is I took it off a bank account, put it on check. They said you can submit it through without collecting the money to get an underwriter to look at it, because we did look at it, because when you get your case number ID, make sure you write that down.
Okay.
And you can call into Transamerica and ask them what was the issue on the prescription check.
Okay.
And they said she was taking some inhaler medications that could be tied to COPD, which she does not have. but the system sees it as graded, automatically shuts it to that, and then you're stuck.
Got it. Was she taking something else besides an inhaler?
Nope.
Because that's still, even then, it should have only been standard.
I don't have the information exactly in front of me, Joe. This was
Okay.
like 3 days ago.
Got it.
So what we did is I'm going to submit it through. I just have to get her signature. I finished it all the way again to the end. And once I get her signature, then I'm going to see if she can get approved with this one, because she wants $40,000 coverage at the rate for preferred. Because the lady was saying there's something that we can still approve her.
Oh, Transamerica. Okay. So explain to me, what was the hang up about the bank account? Like, you originally put it as being drafted, but then you changed it?
Yes, to draft automatically, if you put your banking information in there to draft automatically, they would pull the full premium amount out, $300 and something. She couldn't afford $300 and something. So, and I'm not knowing that once they review it with the underwriter, she can get approved with preferred still.
Oh, okay. Isn't there, when you
So I changed it to be mailing, like, I'd say checking account, pay 3 months. And the lady told me that's okay. It's to get it through the system. They
Right.
don't have to accept the policy. They don't have to take it. But I want to see if she can get approved for that policy.
So you did it as quarter, like quarterly bill.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Billing.
So I guess my question, Cindy, is that when you're putting in the banking information, I believe there's still a drop down for future dating. So they don't necessarily, Transamerica isn't automatically drafting a premium immediately.
Well, because it was so new and the person I was talking with, she
Yeah.
wasn't sure. They don't see the process that we have to go through. And
Okay.
I didn't know what else to do. But I just wanted to get it to go through to see if we can get her approved.
Got it.
So
Maybe
that was the
they
only thing I
updated
thought
it.
of.
All right, so here, I'm going to just go back here real quick to the bank account information. Let me see here, primary. Did I already miss it?
It's hard to see.
Yeah, I know this is all so new.
Yeah, it does take a long process, but it actually goes pretty fast.
Yeah, once you get once you do a couple of them, I think once everybody gets used to it, like, this is the only way they're going to want to do it. And I know Transamerica's they're working on.
It's after this part, where you're validating HIPAA. It's way after that. It's towards the end. And remember, the one thing I did, I was sitting in front of her. I made the mistake of not confirming the exact spelling of her last name, and I locked it up. If you have to make sure you have everything correct before you do that first lockup. If you lock it up before, like, if the spelling's not correct, the date of birth is not correct, address, you cannot make no changes. You have to enter everything in again.
Right. Yeah, good point too. And another agent told me too, when you're validating their name, if they have a middle name, make sure you put in their middle name as well. But Cindy,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you now.
A phone call came in. I had to just delete it.
No problem. So can you see my screen right now?
Barely. Here, I made it a little bit bigger.
Okay. Are you on your phone?
Yes.
All right. Well, at the very bottom, there's a question here. It says initial draft date, 1st through the 28th. I put in here initial draft date, January the 3rd.
Yes.
So I think I think with this, you can still, in the future, you can future date them. This way, Transamerica isn't automatically taking like a premium out like immediately.
Correct. I would imagine that would be correct. But I
Okay,
didn't want to chance anything with her because I already put her with
sure.
a different carrier. But I wanted to see if I can get this approved because it's new process. So
Awesome.
I didn't want to have no, but yes, that is correct. You can future date it.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys are um, proactive, and you're getting up with the the new process. I know a lot of agents out there are still a little bit timid as far as not sure how to do it. And guys, my biggest advice I can give you is that the only way you're going to get good at this is to do it. Just go out there and do it, and you may fumble a little bit, your first one or two times, but once you get the hang of it, I promise you, you're going to love it.
I
So,
totally agree with you, Joe. And
yeah,
I just recommend get your iPad, get your computer, use Transamerica's this way because
yeah.
that application is very redundant. It's like way too much. It's not easy friendly. It's not friendly at all. The paper application.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The paper application. I don't see myself ever doing one of
using
those ever.
exactly. But you get
Yeah,
automatic approval. See, with the good thing now with Transamerica is when you do it online, you'll get automatic approval
yeah,
that they're healthy, they're good, and you don't have to wait till later. So that's the best part.
yeah. I agree with you. Well, it's really good here to hear from you guys. And Sam, thank you for the voice message that you left me. That was very nice. I
I
appreciate that.
thank God for you, Joe. You're an amazing leader. We love you. We appreciate you. You have an amazing organization. You have an amazing family. We love you, Joe.
I love you too, Sam. Both of
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we move on?
No, I really enjoyed how you broke down with the writer for the grandchildren and children. I didn't know that part of it, how they can convert it from 18 to 25 without proof of insurability. And they
Yep.
have to be 2 years. So that was good information. I really appreciate that.
Yep, no problem. All right, guys. Well, enjoy that nice, warm California weather out there, okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Yeah. If you have any other questions, just raise your hand, okay?
We will. God bless.
God bless you. All right. All right, guys. And then I did do my best attempt to update the cheat sheet for common health issues. So let me just go through this real quick. You can actually use the cheat sheet to kind of go through a lot of the major health questions to see if your client's going to qualify or not. But the big stuff like heart attack, stroke, heart surgery, these all stayed the same, guys. So as long as they've, if they had a heart condition, as long as it was um, over 2 years, they're going to be preferred. The big thing with Transamerica is that if they had a heart attack and it's been over a year, they can still get standard, which is awesome. That's one of the things that separates Transamerica from some of the other carriers, is that regardless, they want 2 years with no heart condition. Heart surgery, which includes bypass surgery or a stent, as long as it was over a year, they can still get standard coverage. Stroke, same thing. Congested heart failure, it says here, don't be fooled by this, where it says over 2 years, no treatment preferred. What that means is that if they've been cured and they haven't had treatment, typically with what I've seen anyway with my clients, pretty much once you've been diagnosed with if it's real congested heart failure, pretty much have it for the rest of your life. Sometimes someone may get like pneumonia, and maybe they get symptoms of congested heart failure that can be cured. AFib, keep in mind, with Transamerica, unlike some of the other carriers, if they're taking medication for an irregular heartbeat, or if they have a pacemaker, that's all considered treatment, which means the best you can do is standard. So in a case like that, if they have AFib, look right over here. I would definitely go Foresters. It's preferred if they have an irregular heartbeat. Pacemaker, even if they've had their pacemaker for 5 years, Transamerica, the best you're going to do is standard, because a pacemaker is considered treatment for an irregular heartbeat. COPD, this has all stayed the same, standard, as long as they're not on oxygen. Transamerica, they have a 1-year look back for oxygen. So if they've a lot of times what will happen, if a person has like chronic lung disease and they have to go on oxygen, usually that's for the rest of their life. But sometimes you may have a client that had some type of surgery. They might have had like lung surgery. They might have had cancer. They might have had a stroke. They may come home from the hospital and have to be on oxygen for 30, 60, 90 days, sometimes even 6 months. And then they go clear. So what's good about Transamerica is that if they were prescribed oxygen, let's say because of a medical procedure, but they haven't used it in a year, you can still get preferred. Alzheimer's, dementia, that's all declined. One big change with Transamerica is bipolar depression, and I added schizophrenia. The best you can do with Transamerica is standard. So if you got that client who's taking medications for bipolar or schizophrenia, look right here. Give Foresters a try. It's all preferred there. Parkinson's disease, that stayed the same. They do ask the question now if that was before age 45. Cerebral palsy, that's a decline with Transamerica. But look, Foresters, it's preferred as long as they don't need help with activities of daily living. That's what the ADL stands for, no ADL. Multiple sclerosis, you're standard with TA. Diabetes, they bump the age to age 20. So as long as you were diagnosed with diabetes after the age of 20, Transamerica is still pretty liberal, especially when I'm telling you, when you get those people with neuropathy, even if they're insulin dependent with neuropathy, and let's say, you got that client was diagnosed at age, 35, they got diabetes real bad, they have diabetic nerve pain, they're on insulin, and chances are Transamerica is going to be your carrier. Kidney dialysis, if they haven't had treatment in 4 years, they could get preferred. That's unlikely. Usually, again, kidney dialysis, you're usually on that for the rest of your life. Sometimes not. Sometimes people have been able to get off of it. But if they are currently taking kidney dialysis treatment, you can still get them graded as long as they don't have a bunch of other medical issues, okay? Renal insufficiency, so if they have a kidney disorder, but it's not to the point where they're on dialysis, potentially you could still get your client standard if it's only stage 1 through 3, okay? And then hepatitis. Seems like the hepatitis question can be a little bit tricky to understand. So I just put a little note in here. Hepatitis B and C. Hepatitis, and there's a little asterisk here. TA, Hep B cured over 2 years preferred. So if they had hepatitis B and they took a treatment and they've been cured for over 2 years, you can get preferred. If it was hepatitis C and they're cured, the best you can do is standard. And if they currently have hepatitis, it's going to be graded. So if they have hepatitis and it's they're in the middle of treatment or they're not getting treatment, it's going to be graded. So if you got that client that says, yeah, I got hepatitis C, I'm taking the treatment, look at here, you can still go Foresters and still get them standard, okay? Let's see, liver disease or cirrhosis. The way I'm reading it with Transamerica is if they've ever had cirrhosis of the liver, it's going to be graded. Let's see, over 2 years, no treatment. Or maybe this is if they currently have cirrhosis, it's going to be graded. If they've had no treatment over 2 years, it's preferred. If it's between a year and 2 years, they can get standard. So the hepatitis is, if they have hepatitis, probably what I would do, my best advice is I would probably call underwriting and try to get a risk assessment if you can. If not, do the best job of determining, use the cheat sheet, and then just submit it to Transamerica. Use the e-application. It'll do the risk assessment and let you know what they can get approved for. Moving on to the last one, internal cancer. Transamerica has a 4-year look back for cancer. If it's if it's been over 2 years, you're going to get graded. If they've had cancer within 2 years, it's going to be decline. I can tell you this: if you got a cancer, or if you got a client that's had cancer, and it's been over 2 years cured, Liberty Bankers is the way to go. You can still get a preferred rate with only being cured for 2 years. They have one of the shortest time frames on that. Systemic lupus, if they have it or if they've had it, the best you're going to get is standard. If they've had treatment within 24 months, it's going to be graded. If they use a wheelchair or an electric scooter, it's going to be graded. Blood thinners, after talking to Transamerica, as far as I can tell, if they're on blood thinners because of a procedure, it's going to be okay. Okay. Height and weight chart. Transamerica has a new height and weight chart. I just put in here C build chart, but I put in a reference 5'8". If you're 5'8", the maximum you can be to get preferred is 273 pounds. So if you just compare that to some of the competition, Mutual of Omaha for the same 5'8", you could be 10 pounds heavier. You could be 283. Foresters, you could be 292. That's almost 20 pounds heavier. Liberty Bankers, you can be over 300. That's almost 30 pounds heavier with Liberty Bankers. So just be careful. The one thing that really I hate seeing is when an agent gets a client declined or they get rated up because of their height and weight, because they were a few pounds over. Guys, that should never happen. If they're heavy, if you got a client and they're over 250 and they're not that tall, definitely, man, just take a minute and look at the height and weight chart. Phone interview, again, with Transamerica, there is no phone interview. So, man, this has been a long, we covered a lot of information here. So I'm going to get this published. Let's just see if we have any questions. Candy has a question. Candy, I'm going to unmute you. Hello, Candy.
Hi, Joe. I was just wondering if you updated the cheat sheet yet.
I do. I can send it to you. I didn't update every carrier, so I'm only updating them as we go. So I did update Foresters, and I updated Transamerica as the best I can. Just, Candy, just remember the cheat sheet is just a reference. Whenever in doubt, always call the carrier and try to get a risk assessment, but it would give you a pretty good idea of what they,
Right.
but I'll go ahead and send that out to you, okay?
Thank you, hon. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, you have a great holiday and a Merry Christmas, okay?
Thank you. You too, Joe. You have a
right.
wonderful Christmas with your family.
Thanks, sweetie. All right, guys. Well, looks like that's all the questions. So thanks for being on the call today. Hope this information was helpful, and I'll get it recorded for everybody, okay? All right, everybody. God bless. Have a great holiday season, and we'll get back to you. We'll talk to you January the 3rd, 2020. Take care.